Hello. The battle for control of the Strait of Hormuz is a battle over what some of the building blocks of a new world order will be. At stake is far more than whether Iran will have a stranglehold over the flow of 20% of the world's seaborne energy trade through the strategic strait, and with it, over Gulf economies. Potentially, it is also a battle for control of the terms of the energy trade, energy security, the Middle East's future security architecture, and the region's political map. The stakes become clearer the longer the battle continues, the more it expands beyond the strait to Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Yemen, and the Bab al Mandab waterway, and the more it threatens to suck others into a broadening regional conflagration. Beyond control of the Strait of Hormuz and increasingly Bab al Mandab, the stakes include determining the currency in which a significant chunk of Gulf and Iran related energy trade would be conducted, the diversification of the export routes for Middle East oil, and the place of Israel and Iran's non state allies, like Yemen's Houthi rebels, in the region's future architecture. For now, Iran has temporarily shelved a demand that all oil passing through the strait, as well as fees charged for passage through the waterway, be settled in Chinese renminbi rather than US dollars, but could revive it if it secures full control of the waterway. If revived, the Iranian demand would bolster Iran's long standing de dollarization strategy, challenge the dollar's positioning as the world's reserve currency, dent a pillar of US global dominance, and further Chinese aspirations to become a global financial power. The Iranian demand would institutionalize its increased use of the renminbi in the settlement of sanctioned Iranian oil sales since 2018, when President Donald Trump withdrew from the 2015 international agreement that curbed Iran's nuclear program and reimposed crippling sanctions. Iran uses a complex web of financial institutions to launder most of the renminbi proceeds from its oil sales into the global financial system. The U.S. Congress's U.S. China Economic and Security Review Commission said in a report in March. The commission said the web used foreign bank accounts, many of which are under Chinese jurisdiction and are managed by mid-sized Chinese banks with limited exposure to the dollar financial system. Iranian prospects for imposing the currency in which Iran and Gulf energy are traded are dampened by a 5 million barrels a day drop in Chinese imports and estimates that a flurry of pipeline projects scheduled for completion in the next 2 to 3 years will divert to alternative routes up to 60% of the 20 million barrels that daily traversed the strait before the war. The projects, involving roads, railways, and ports, alongside pipelines, are likely to shape the geopolitics of the Yemen conflict and the regional status of post Bashar al Assad Syria, as Syria emerges as a hub. Escalating tensions between Saudi Arabia and Yemen's Houthi rebels and Iranian backed Iraqi militias are as much in anticipation of a revived search for a negotiated resolution of the Yemen conflict as they are about Iran seeking to broaden its conflagration with the United States with the help of its non state allies. The Houthis see escalating tensions with the kingdom as a way of increasing their leverage in stalled negotiations with Saudi Arabia by capitalizing on Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's efforts to contain the damage to his social and economic transformation of the kingdom caused by the war with Iran. Secure oil exports through its Red Sea port of Yanbu and develop further alternatives to the Strait of Hormuz. The alternatives include plans for a $5 billion, 200,000 barrels a day refinery and export corridor that accesses international shipping beyond the strait. They also involve pumping more crude through the Suez Mediterranean pipeline, SUMED, to Egypt's Mediterranean seaport of Sidi Kerir for export to international markets, and building a $4 billion 32-kilometer causeway that would link Neom, the kingdom's Red Sea logistics hub, to the Mediterranean. The causeway across the Strait of Tiran, dubbed the Moses Bridge, in reference to the biblical tale of Moses' parting of the Red Sea, would connect Ras Hamid, 72 kilometers west of Neom, to Egypt's Sharm el Sheikh on the Sinai Peninsula. While no one has claimed responsibility, Egyptian sources suspect the Houthis were responsible for a drone attack this week on two gas vessels in Egypt's Mediterranean port of Damietta. The attack was the first targeting of Egypt since the Iran war started on February 28. The attack spotlighted Saudi Arabia's need for a sustainable ceasefire with the Houthis, if not a permanent end to the conflict, that inevitably would involve Saudi economic support and de facto recognition of the rebels' control of 30% of Yemen and 80% of its population, and rewrite Yemen's geopolitical positioning. Meanwhile, the Houthis may have overplayed their hand with their recent attempt to break the Saudi blockade of the Yemeni capital Sanaa's international airport by engineering the landing of an Iranian airliner and attacks on Saudi oil installations. The Houthi targeting of Saudi shipping could produce the kind of support for the kingdom that the United States' NATO allies have denied Mr. Trump. European nations, Gulf states, Egypt, Turkey, Djibouti, Sudan, and Asian powers like Pakistan, alongside the United States, are likely to be more open to a Saudi call for an international military coalition to protect shipping in the Red Sea. The Saudi call, together with the Saudi US strikes against Iraqi militias, is certain to have been discussed this week in Mr. Trump's meeting with Saudi Defense Minister Khalid bin Salman. Leaving the door open to negotiations, Saudi Arabia has described the strikes as an act of self-defense and insisted that it was not seeking escalation. The Saudi statement was as much intended to coax the Houthis back to the negotiating table as it was designed to signal to the Trump administration that the kingdom opposes an escalation of the Iran war. Potentially, the Saudi-led coalition, headquartered in Riyadh, could serve as the launching pad for an expanded regional architecture that complements rather than replaces the Gulf's U.S. defense shield, and would incorporate the region's bilateral defense relationships with individual members of the consortium. The United Kingdom, France, and Turkey already have military bases in the region. In addition, Pakistani troops are deployed close to the Saudi-Yemeni border under a mutual defense treaty concluded last year. Thank you for watching or listening to The Turbulent World. I'm honored that you spend time with my work, given that we live in a world of information overload, in which time and attention come at a premium. The Turbulent World offers in-depth, independent, evidence-based, and original geopolitical analysis of the Middle East, the Muslim world, and the rise of civilizational leaders that goes beyond what mainstream media offer. Paid subscribers make the Turbulent World possible. They have full access to all postings, podcasts, and videos, as well as the newsletter's multi-year archive. They can post comments and get one-on-one briefings on demand. Please consider becoming a paid subscriber. This is as good a time as any other to subscribe. You can do so by going to jamesmdorsey.substack.com. Thank you, best wishes, and see you soon.